Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us. We ordered some seed potatoes from Amazon. Never ordered them from Amazon before. So let me show you what we ended up with and what we're doing to prepare to plant them.
Look, we not like that one.
I think that one was good.
We not like that one. Do one more.
Do one more?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. Thanks for joining us. We ordered some seed potatoes from Amazon. Let me show you what we ended up with and what we're doing to prepare to plant them. That's a good one.
Not you, potato.
Now we're going to talk about the potatoes. Here, hop down, let me get my camera. There are a lot of options for seed potatoes on Amazon, and there's a lot of mixed reviews, so I really wasn't sure what we were going to be getting. It was kind of an experiment. I will put the link for this seller in the description below in case you're interested in them, but overall I have to say I'm very pleased with what we ended up with. I've ordered a variety pack. I wanted to make sure that I got something that was a purple or a blue potato, so this one is an all blue. This is a Yukon Gold, which is also one of the ones that I really wanted, and this is a Red Pontiac, which is fine. I like a Red Pontiac, but I would have preferred maybe like an all red or something along those lines, but maybe I'll add that one in next year. Now, not all sellers on Amazon could tell you what variety of potato you're purchasing, and I am not a fan of that whatsoever. I want to know what I'm getting for the money that I'm spending. So if you can't tell me what kind of product that I'm getting, I'm not sure that I want to purchase that. Now, if you have left a potato in a cupboard, you know it's very easy to sprout a potato. There's not a lot that you have to do for these. They will sprout just about anywhere. That being said, there are some conditions you want to make sure your potatoes are meeting so that you can get the best sprout possible. One of those is you don't want them to be sprouting in the dark. That's going to cause a long white leggy stem, and that may look like, hey, I got a nice long sprout on here, but that's not going to be the best thing for you. You want to make sure it's getting light so that it's nice and green and healthy. It's also often recommended that you put your potatoes with the sprout end up and the vine end down. This is where the potato was connected to the mother plant, and then this is the end of it that has the sprouts or the eyes on it. So you're gonna get most recommendations is to make sure that this end with the sprouts is going to be up. If you plant this anyway in the ground, those sprouts will find their way up. Now that's the thing. When the potato is attached to the plant from this end, this potato is going to be horizontal or even pointing down, and then your sprouts are going to come up out of the ground. So by nature, it's not going to be positioned in an upright position. It's just that when you are sprouting them and planting them, this makes it a little easier for your sprouts and maybe uses a little less energy from the potato. On that train of thought, you need to know that the potato is your energy source for your new plant. As it's establishing a root system and as it's establishing leaves, this is where it gets its energy and nutrients from. So your potato size does make a difference in that. You can see we have a whole lot of variety in our sizes. This one and this one, both of these are a little on the small size. They are not going to have lots of energy to grow and produce a nice big beautiful plant. I mean, they'll probably be fine, but it's going to set them back a little bit more than perhaps one of these that gives you lots of energy to get that plant started. There's just a lot more potato here. On the other end of that spectrum, I have something like this, which is a lot bigger than it needs to be to plant. Now, ordinarily what I would do is cut this potato. I'm not going to do that, however, just because I've got 17 potatoes worth of growing area, and this pack came with 17 potatoes. I don't need to cut these and divide them up. However, if I had more space, I would cut this one and I would cut this one just because of the size. So if I were going to cut this potato, I would probably just cut it in half. And when I cut it in half, I would make sure that my cut went in such a way that there was eyes on both pieces of the potato that I cut. So if I just cut it straight in half here, there's an eye, there's an eye. Yeah, so I've got at least two eyes there that would be on this bottom half, and then I have a lot up here. So you would just need to make sure you got one or two eyes on each section. So here's an example of one that I have cut. This is a store-bought potato that I had in the house. I will tell you, store-bought potatoes a lot of times are sprayed with an inhibitor that keeps them from sprouting. So, you know, this may not be a good one to plant at all. You would want to wait and see if it sprouted. But just as an example, I cut this one, and if you'll notice, I have eyes. They're not sprouted, but these are the points where my eyes would be. They're just very, very little tiny pieces now. But I made sure that there's several eyes on this top part, and I made sure that there's several eyes on this bottom part, so that if I were going to plant this, each side of this would have eyes on it. Now when you cut them, you're not going to be cutting them and putting them straight in the ground. You could, but the best practice for that is to cut them and then leave them, let them sit for 2 or 3 days until this cut scabs over. It's going to get leathery. That's not moist anymore. That helps protect the potato from getting diseases or from rotting in the ground after you plant it. Some people also would dip these in a wood ash. I'd have never done that, so I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that if you're going to plant them directly in the ground, cut them, let them sit for a few days, and let that scab over to prevent you from losing any of your potatoes to rot. And that's pretty much it. You don't have to do too much else to these. Potatoes are super easy to sprout. Now, I do spritz mine on occasion just to make sure they don't get too dehydrated, but this potato already has a lot of moisture in it. You don't want to keep them too wet. If you keep them damp, they could mold. It could cause rot on them while you're waiting for them to sprout. So again, just an occasional spritz, but not keeping them damp all the time. And if you've never ordered seed potatoes before, I want you to be aware of this. They will come in a soil peat moss type mixture. When you get them, they will be brown. You're going to open them up and you're going to think, wow, these are all brown potatoes. But if you wash them off, you can actually see their color. So just be aware of that when you get them. They should be in a mixture. That helps keep and store the potato. So that's a good thing. And the fact that they're all brown, that's normal. Don't freak out. Okay, to recap, we want these in a warm, well-lit area so that it would encourage healthy growth of your sprouts. We would like to put the stem end down and the seed end up to encourage healthy growth, but that's not necessary. We want a nice large egg-sized potato ideally. If it's a large one and you're going to cut it, make sure that each section of your cut potato has eyes, and make sure you let the cut end scar over or heal over before you plant them in the dirt. It is not necessary for you to sprout potatoes before you plant them. You can put them directly in the ground, absolutely fine, but if you want to get a head start before your plant date arrives, you can do that in your greenhouse or on your windowsill. So that's it. We've got our seed potatoes going. I'm very happy with the quality of what I received. I'm very happy with how they're going so far. You can start to see some little eyes on there. We've got a little bit more time before we put them in the ground, but not long at all. My main thing that I'm waiting on now is to get me some soil in my pots. Once I have the soil in my pots, I could really go ahead and plant them at any point. So that's it for now. Remember to like, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you can keep up with what we're doing and how the potatoes are progressing. And remember, I'm going to put a link to the seller that we bought ours from in the description below. So check that out as well. We'll see you guys next time.